Hey guys, this is the Real Estate Podcast and it's your host, Alex Kaufman. Now, before we dive into today's episode, I need you to do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button on your phone if you haven't done so already, and share this episode with just one person. It's going to help us get this information out to more people to learn about entrepreneurship and real estate. Thanks. Now let's dive into today's episode.
But if you surround yourself with smarter people than what you are, that know the industry, it's an amazing investment opportunity. Again, I had the 401k and all those things, but I reap the most from the benefits from my rental income. And you can do it if you trust the people around you and you just take that leap of faith. I did it, kind of pushed into it, and like I said, it is the best mistake I've ever made.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Real Estate Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, the one, the only, Miss Kim Wheeler, Matt's mom, my mom, Sam's mom, everybody's mom. Miss Kim has an amazing story, and I'd really like for you to actually give your intro. I was thinking about this a second ago. I could name all the things and talk so highly of you, but why don't you tell us real quick your intro, who you are, how you got here.
Okay. Well, my name is Kim Wheeler, and I moved to Round Rock, Texas 31 years ago. Came down with the boys and their father and lived in Cat Hollow. That's how I first got here.
Did y'all live in Cat Hollow?
We lived in Cat Hollow on Fremont Street.
Until when?
We moved actually in 2000 to the best neighborhood in Round Rock, Texas, Round Rock West, and that's exactly where you also grew up as well.
In 2000?
Yes, 2000.
Date number
Not
one.
bad.
Miss Kim told me today, she said, do not talk about dates. And you brought up the date.
I only brought it up because I do have a name plaque on my house on Chincoteague that you actually grew up in.
All right. I'm going to give you a proper intro.
Okay.
Rewind.
All right.
Miss Kim, she's a very special woman. She has a very big heart. She tries to help anybody she can. Very outgoing, very personable. She actually works with us. She cold calls. So if you are a potentially motivated seller, you've probably talked to Miss Kim. She has a very special skill of really being able to talk to someone, learn about someone, become very close with somebody, even though this person doesn't know who she is or want to talk to her. She's just by far, one of the hardest workers I've ever met. She loves working. She loves accomplishing things. Very positive attitude. She, again, is very, very helpful. Matt always talks about how his interest in real estate and really his inspiration to be successful in real estate came from you, his mom, Miss Kim. I have to call her Miss Kim, by the way, otherwise y'all might see me get slapped on this podcast.
That's right.
But anyways, she's just a very, very, very special person, and anybody who has ever had the honor of speaking with you has probably said that before and knows that about Miss Kim. And she's just got a very, very cool story. She is a very successful real estate investor. We'll dive into that and kind of, how she got started investing in real estate and her whole story. But anyways, I wanted to make sure that we get the proper introduction out there.
Thank you, Alex.
So here is the episode with Miss Kim. All right. So, well, let's go back a little bit. I mean, you love talking about your family. You have a very big family. So tell us a little bit about that growing up, where you come from, kind of what made you into who you are today.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Toledo, Ohio, one of 10. I am the 9th. I have a younger brother. I have 6 brothers and 3 sisters. 49 nephew and nieces. We are one of the largest Catholic families in Ohio.
Is there like a... So when you say that, is there like
it's probably a competition.
Is there a book where they...
Yes. And we are the largest Catholic family in Ohio. So very proud of that. I am a Christian. Grew up, my parents were just amazing people. Very, very blessed. Couldn't ask for better parents. I think about them all the time. I miss them. Great people, really great people. I truly feel blessed because I feel as though they passed on what you guys term now as generational wealth. My father owned an asphalt business, and all the brothers worked at an early age. The girls could not go to work at Genite Company. That's what he owned, Genite Company.
Genite?
Genite, Jennite. My brothers all work there and still continue to work there. But I didn't realize what my parents did until obviously I grew up and had a family of my own. But my father instilled first, God is first, and then my mom, and then the children, and then a Catholic education. So they instilled that in us, and really being hardworking. It was always driven into our family of just working hard. My mom grew up with six siblings, and they were all of our neighbors. And
really?
Yeah. And the youngest, the least amount was 7 in the family, and the most was 14.
What do you mean? Of kids?
Of kids. My grandmother had 72 grandchildren. So the school bus would come and make about 3 stops, and the majority of them were my cousins, and then they would take us to school.
It was very cool.
So it was an awesome upbringing. I was just so blessed. And, I think all the siblings just realized just how fortunate we were growing up in the family that we did grow up in. There's a lot of love. And, our parents taught us the basic skills and tools to be hardworking and successful follow. So that's kind of my growing up years and how I started just doing all of this.
How close are you and Aunt Kyle?
Aunt Kyle, I am 57, and so she's 59. 59.
Aunt Kyle, Miss Kim's sister, they've got a lot of stories.
We have a lot of stories. Aunt Kyle's one of the best, right?
Yep, she is.
She is the best.
Absolutely. All right, so grew up in Toledo, Ohio. Tell me about, since this is the real estate podcast, I'm going to try and relate things back to real estate as we hear about them. But growing up with your family and your, I guess, aunts and uncles and your parents, was real estate investing kind of a thing that they did, or was it talked about at all, or?
I think that my father and, aunts and uncles, really uncles, got into it later in life after the kids were raised, after paying for a private education, elementary and high school. Once the bills got less and more of the children moved out, that's when my father started getting into real estate, buying commercial properties. And actually, probably one of the first ones he bought was here in Texas, maybe 40 years ago. He owned a commercial property on Sandbass Road. And that's kind of how he started. Had a donut shop in it, and
he just owned the real estate, not the donut shop.
Nope, he owned the strip center. Him with my 2 other brothers. So that's how it all started. And I think one of the first properties that he owned was in real estate here in Austin, Texas, and that was probably 40 years ago.
Yeah, and so how did you get to Austin?
Moved here in Austin 31 years ago and moved to Round Rock.
Right, but why? Because wasn't Jack here?
Jack was here and just wanted a new beginning and moved down here and started the next chapter of my life.
Do you know how Jack found Austin?
Jack found Austin through a company called Naira, based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and they convinced him to move to Austin probably 50 years ago. Started seal coating driveways, said Austin's going to be this booming city. Toledo they didn't have the growth there. He had 5 other brothers in the business, and he decided after he got married, came down here with his wife and drove a seal tanker. Started doing driveways.
Got it. I was just curious because, if that company would have told him Pennsylvania or Florida or any other state, or city. I mean, it just could have been a completely
It
different
could've.
story.
Exactly.
'Cause
Exactly.
Jack came, and then were you the second of the siblings to move here?
Nope. Uncle Steve, Kyle's husband, came. So then he started, and then I came.
Were
and
Kyle and Steve married at the time?
Kyle and Steve were married.
Got
They
it.
followed, and they helped him. So what a blessing to think that they had the foresight to know that Austin was going to be this big, booming area. Of course, that helps them, right? Because then they sell product down south, where you can seal coat generally, 9-10 months of the year, versus in Ohio, you're shut down. So amazing. I mean, what a awesome opportunity it provided for him, and look where he is today.
Yeah.
So
And so you came to Austin,
I
moved to
followed.
Cat Hollow,
moved to Cat Hollow, then moved to Round Rock West.
and you had Matt at the time? Because Matt was born in Ohio.
Yes, Matt at the time, and then
He was
Sam
3?
soon followed. He was 3.
Yep. And then Sam soon followed.
Sam soon followed. Yes.
And so what were you doing here in Round Rock when you first came?
When I first came, just nothing. I was a housewife. Matt, their dad, worked at Wheeler Coatings, which my brother Jack owned at the time, but his love was golf. And he became a golf professional and then went to go work at Berry Creek Country Club to be the golf club pro there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I was just a housewife, staying home.
Weren't you teaching at some point
I was substitute teaching.
during that time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, so you were teaching, and then at what point were you cleaning houses?
After the boy's father and I got a divorce, I started cleaning houses, and I put them in Mother's Day out at Council Oak, 9 to 2, 2 days a week, and I would go and clean somebody's house during those times. And after we got a divorce, my brother Jack asked me if I wanted a job, and so I did collections for him.
So you did collections. Sam and Matt are at Deepwood by this time?
They're at Deepwood. We moved over to Round Rock West.
Yep, moved over to Round Rock West. And then, so you started doing collections with Jack at the time. Was Wheeler Coatings a pretty big company at that time?
I think so. I
It
think
was-
so.
and
Absolutely.
Continuously growed over.
Right. They had already been here for a while, and the name out there, Wheeler Coatings, everybody knew. Jack had an amazing reputation. He treated his people well, and everybody loves Jack.
You were probably pretty good at collections, weren't you?
I was very good.
You could probably get.
I did.
Why do you think you're good?
I just collected the money. I just made sure.
Yeah, but you're so nice, and you probably did it in a way. I'm sure many people get collections phone calls, and
Yes.
they're pretty, not great. But I'm sure you were able to have the person be excited to pay you the money.
Just so I wouldn't call him anymore. And I took great notes, so that helped.
Yeah.
If they told me they were going to mail a check, I made sure I called them that day to say they told me they were going to mail a check.
Right. Did you enjoy doing that?
Not really.
What didn't you enjoy?
It's just
about-
tough. It's
Yeah.
just tough. People go through hard times and stuff like that, and it's hard to deal with that.
Yeah. Being forced to have tough conversations.
Tough conversations, and then to be lied to. So they always tell me the check's in the mail, and I'd have to call them and go, wasn't in the mail.
Maybe it got lost.
Yeah, it got lost again.
Right.
So, but he moved me out of that position and got me into sales. So I was
And you
happy
like
with that.
sales?
Loved it.
What do you like about sales?
People,
Yeah.
meeting people and accomplishing, things, and just they asked for a price and I gave it to them and they were just happy. It was just simple. It was a great job. I love just being around people.
Yeah. You heard my intro I did
Yes.
about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Sure.
Because you're great at it. To a lot of people, sales aspect or having conversations might be hard, right? Like a lot of people struggle
Right.
with it. And it's not easy. We kind of got to force ourselves to get in the mode. We got to force ourselves to have these conversations.
You mean you need to force yourself?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's days where you're not feeling like it,
That's
right?
true. That's true. It's very rare.
Yeah.
There
I
isn't
mean,
a stranger. I talk to everyone.
Yeah. But I mean, even now, right, with lists that you're calling,
Absolutely.
you're like, I don't want to call these
You're
certain
right.
types of lists.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to big dog me on the podcast.
I know it. Sorry. I had to flip it.
Yeah.
I had to flip it.
But I mean, you know, there's days and times where, I mean, you're a human being. We all are. There's days and times where we may not feel like it, but you're very good about. Ultimately, all it is just caring about somebody,
right,
and just being genuinely interested in how you might be able to help them,
mm-hmm. and being authentic. You have to be authentic, and you have to be real.
Right.
You know, if you act this game, it's difficult to do. I am who I am. I'm still going to care about these people, even though I don't know them. I'm very blessed. I've never been in that situation, but I just genuinely love to help people and serve people.
What have you found to be very successful in sales at Wheeler Coatings and making calls here and anything you've done your entire life?
I think I'm satisfied just to know that I put the best effort, and that people are just happy with the accomplishments of what I do. It makes their life easier. When I worked at Wheeler Coatings, it made their life easier because I'm the first one that got the bid that, you know, for them, where people wait weeks to send it, you know, and you know, they just knew they can always count on me, and I don't like to disappoint and let people down.
Yeah. All right, I'm going back to 92.
Okay.
What was the thing called you put Matt and Sam in? Daycare?
Council Oak. Mother's Day out.
Yeah, Mother's Day out. You're cleaning houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of unfortunate that it's just you and I on this podcast, because I'm going to ask questions and I feel like you're not going to brag about yourself as much as you probably should. And I don't know the story in depth as much as, you know, Matt or Sam might, but we're going to try. Okay. And I just want you to be open to giving yourself a pat on the back for all that you've done. All right?
Are you going to make me cry?
I hope not. But if so, happy tears.
Okay.
All right. So you're now a single mother. You got family here in Texas.
Yes.
And you got the support of your family. But you're now a single mother, and you know Matt talks a lot about him watching you growing up, you know, being a single mother, doing everything that you did for Matt and Sam. And again, you know, as much as I was involved in y'all's lives, it's like what 1/100th of the actual time, you know, and everything. So I don't know exactly, you know, what went down. But just walk us through it. I mean, what were you thinking? You were, you know, obviously thinking about providing for Matt and Sam and you guys. But I'm trying to lead us into, you know, investing in real estate and everything you've done to accomplish what you have today and raise two amazing boys. So if you don't mind, just kind of walk us through kind of what it was like being a single mother at that time, two young kids, trying to figure out what to do.
Okay. Well, being at that time, I was Catholic. Really, this has nothing to do with it, but I was Catholic, and I was, my marriage was okay, but my parents did not want me to get a divorce. When they finally accepted it and acknowledged and gave me the blessing to do that, the next thing that I was facing was, how will I do this to raise two boys by myself? They, with their blessing, they had written me a check for $30,000, which was huge for me.
Mom
huge.
and dad?
Mom and dad, and my brother Pat Wheeler, who was at that time kind of the co-owner of Jarnite. And my dad just wanted to make sure that I had a cushion because I was just cleaning houses. I put that check away and told myself I would never touch it unless I have to. That would be an emergency fund. Because I was so grateful and blessed that I knew I had a padding if I needed it, but they wanted me to use it and just continue on. So I started cleaning houses. My brother Jack offered me a job in employment at Wheeler Coatings. But how I actually got into it, my dad actually 20 years ago died, and before when we would go home to visit him because he had Parkinson's, and a mutual friend of ours, Robert Culver, was in property management, and he had called me when I was in Toledo for a couple weeks and said that there was a home that the guy was going to lose next door to him, and he had cut out all the plumbing copper plumbing. I guess he was involved in drugs. To sell it. I didn't know, but at that time, to sell it. And he basically said to me, I'll never forget this. He said, what would your dad want you to do? Because I was making excuses because I didn't feel like I had the money. I was scared. I was afraid. And at that point, when he asked me that question, I knew my dad would want me to take a leap of faith and do this. And I said, let's go ahead and let's make an offer on the house. Bought my first house for $60,000 on Denfield Road.
First investment property?
First investment property.
Where was this at? This was in Round Rock West or across?
Off of Bowman Road, Denfield.
Oh, gotcha.
Right next door to Robert Culver.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember that, but basically we did all the work. You probably don't, but the boys remember. They had to chip up ceramic tile, and they weren't happy about it, let me tell you. And I don't know if it was more work having them there.
More dates, but how old were they at the time?
Oh, gosh. I would say, elementary school, maybe 4th and 6th grade.
Uh-huh. And so you'd bring them over there, put them to work.
Put them to work, and we would, anything that was needed, we had to do it with Robert Culver, and it was fun. We had a good time. They didn't really like it. But, I think eventually they got to see the outcome of all of it, but that was my first investment property.
Yeah. And so that must have been, I'm just trying to think timeline. So like you were cleaning houses,
Mm-hmm.
Then you started working at doing collections with Wheeler Coatings.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was from then until
it was nights and weekends we would work. Late nights and weekends.
Right.
Every weekend we'd work on the house, and every night after work we'd go over there and work on the house.
Right, but this is like 5 years after you moved into Chincoteague, give or take?
Probably. Right around there.
And so for the first 5 years or so, you're really just trying to get a good footing, get, I don't know, you tell me. I'm asking.
Well, I was just trying to stay afloat, honestly, because as you know, you guys were all very active in sports, and it was traveling baseball and basketball and trying to get, each one of the kids to different fields, different complexes. So I had to rely on a lot of people that became my village, meeting Stephanie O'Donnell. She became a big part of my life. So she helped me with the kids and going back and forth to the baseball parks, or just taking Sam, for the weekend when he was somewhere else, so I could be with Matt. So we just kind of swapped off a lot.
And so did you ever envision investing in real estate, or?
No, I really didn't. All I was thinking was to be able to pay for, what was important to me was to be able to pay for our college education. I didn't want the kids to have the burden of debt, and seeing what my father had accomplished, that I would not be a burden to the children, to the boys, when I became elderly, of whether it was an assisted living center or independent living. I just didn't want to be a financial burden or a burden to them. So number one was college education, to be able to pay for their college education if that's what they chose to do, and more making sure I wasn't a burden to them.
Mm-hmm. All right. So buy your first property off Denfield,
Mm-hmm.
$60,000. Y'all are working on it over the on the weekends and nights and everything. And then, so what were you thinking when you bought this first one? What were you thinking?
I wasn't.
Damn
wasn't.
it, Robert.
I know.
Why did you tell me to buy
Exactly. I did. But you know what? It was, at first I thought it was a mistake after I walked in there and saw all the damage and what he had done, and, finding things, you're like grossed out. But, it was the best, and I've said this before, it was the best mistake I could have ever made.
So did you see it before you bought it?
No. Never saw it.
Explain that to people listening, because, as you know, and you talk to a lot of them as well. We have a lot of people reach out who want to get started investing in real estate, and they spend a lot of time in, analysis paralysis, analyzing deals, analyzing a deal, overthinking a deal. But it sounds like you didn't think about it at all.
Right, which was a good thing.
Right. So walk somebody through that. Hey, this is Alex, and I'm the co-owner of TRE. Since the beginning of time, real estate has created more millionaires than any other investment, and I want to get you involved in a community that will help you achieve your goals within real estate investing. I know you don't have the knowledge, connections, or resources to start investing today. Most people spin their wheels over and over and over without ever actually taking any action to successfully start investing. That's why I want to get you involved in our community so that you can get the hands-on support, training, and meet the other members that you can start doing deals with in order to start investing in real estate. You need to get in the room with the right people who can help you achieve your goals and get the hands-on support and one-on-one training that you need in order to start investing. Just click on the link in the description to join the entrepreneur community today. On how you're able to do that. I think a lot of it had to do with Robert and trusting Robert.
Yes, no doubt. I trusted Robert. He had already been in the house. He'd already seen it. He knew the big things, obviously the plumbing, but at the end of the day, you know, you're getting a great deal. So you put in several $1,000s for, you know, replacement of plumbing. So, you know, I was very happy. I trusted him, and he was a good friend, and you know, you rely on people that know the business. I didn't know the business. He kind of forced my hand into it. It was just the perfect timing to set up. And, you know, before I know it, he accepted the money, and, you know, we just went to work, made it happen.
Would you say real estate's a team sport?
Yes, absolutely.
You need the Roberts, the Matts.
You need the Roberts, the Matts, mortgage people.
The bank, insurance.
Insurance.
Contractors, property managers, leasing agents, tenants, partners.
Absolutely.
All right, so you dove in, you bought the first one. About how long did it take you guys to fix it up?
Probably 6 months.
Wow, that's a while.
Yeah.
Just you three, you, Matt, Sam. Mostly.
Do you really count Matt and Sam?
Well, you said you brought them over there.
I was going to say, I brought him over there. Yes. But it was probably Robert and I. They did the majority of it, and they did. The kids were fine, but they're boys. They get distracted.
Right.
Right.
So it took you about 6 months to get it rent ready, and then you got it rented out. And then by this time, were you ready to buy your second?
Yes.
And walk us through that. Did you
honestly,
fall in love with it, or?
No, I don't fall in love with real estate. I don't. I try not to, because it's a business.
Well, why were you ready for your second?
Because it would seem so easy to do, and then I realized that I could take this passive income and start using that and build that up so that I could use that if I needed to for the kids' college education. That's really what it was all about, was just being able to not have to get loans and to be able to pay cash for their college education.
Did you buy the property cash, the first one?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't think I did.
Yeah. Okay. And so, second one, what was that one? Well, I guess first tell us, how many do you own today?
15.
15 single-family homes.
Yes.
And you pretty much bought one a year or so?
Pretty much.
And so after this first one that you bought on Denfield, did you foresee owning 15 of them?
No, not at all. Just things, I had a great realtor. She was not afraid to go knock on people's doors, that people were in foreclosure. Because I always told her I would never want to kick anyone out. If we can find somebody that really needs our help and they want to continue to stay there, that I would agree that they could rent the house back, and I'd let them stay. That was important to me.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm in Tejas. Right? Perfect example.
Yeah, he stayed there for how long?
Well, I bought the house 20 years ago, and he stayed there. He rented the house for 20 years and just moved out in January, and now I live there.
Right.
Right?
What house was that? What number? Do you remember?
Don't.
Back to dates.
20 years. That was, honestly, I don't even remember that. I think the situation was really hard for me, knowing that the realtor, he finally said I could come in. He wanted to meet me, and I didn't want to meet him.
Tejas house situation.
When I walked in on a Friday, and the auction was Tuesday, I walked in, and he had nothing packed. Nothing. it was like he was in denial. I'll never forget, he had a stack of lottery tickets. The house was dark. And I just saw desperation and sadness. And he just wanted to continue living there so that his daughter could finish middle school and high school. And she's probably in her early 40s, and she finally said, Dad, come in and move in with me. And he moved out in January. Yeah. This past January.
Right.
So.
Well, walk me through. Walk our viewers through how you go from, accidentally investing in real estate, kind of.
Okay.
To owning 15. And what was important to you throughout this process? Were you trying to instill anything in Matt and Sam? Was this just kind of a great way for you to invest money? At what point did you start looking at it as a business?
I think when I first started getting in, once the first one happened and I realized how simple the process was, not the physical labor of it all, I just caught a bug. I had been working and I was just saving my money in a checking account. And back then, cash was king, like probably it is still today, but I had a lot of cash. And so I was able to get a lot of really good deals because I squirreled away all this cash in my checking and my savings account. Like, that was big to me. I would always look at those numbers, make sure I had enough. Mm-hmm. And so, the one led to, I think at one time, I had about 22 homes. And it just, I realized how simple it was. We had hiccups, and yes, we had some problems, but at the end of the day, I realized that the benefits outweighed all the negative things at the end of the day, long term. And it set me up. I felt more comfortable. It was just a transaction. I didn't fall in love with any of the houses. I didn't want to fall in love with the houses. It was just a business transaction. In regards to...
And you had a good team.
I had a great team.
Maybe if you didn't have a good property manager such as Robert, maybe you wouldn't have been buying as many.
Absolutely.
But you knew that you could buy it, hand it off. Yes. It was in good hands.
And trusted my realtor, Ivy Muncie. Right. I mean, she was a pit bull. And she was sweet and she was nice, but she wasn't afraid to go knock on doors. I wouldn't do that nowadays. But, I mean, we're talking a long time ago, she had no problem going and knocking on people's doors.
Yeah.
I think with the real estate, I wasn't really thinking about teaching the kids about real estate. I was trying to teach them how to work. And being hardworking, and hopefully that they would pick up a skill from Robert, knowing electrical, plumbing, all those things. Clearly.
Did either of them pick any?
No. But I just wanted to teach them about hard work.
They did pick up a skill.
What's that?
It was to find Roberts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the skill they picked up.
Exactly.
They didn't pick up the actual plumbing or electrical skill.
But Sam is getting better now.
Is he?
Yeah. For sure.
Electrical?
Just anything. He likes he YouTubes it and figures it out. If you can't have Robert, you just use YouTube.
For sure. But Sam is very good at finding Roberts.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Absolutely.
So they did learn that.
So I tried to teach him about work ethic, and I felt like, hey, we're all going to contribute. This is all going back to you. One day this is going towards your college education. This is part of you living at the home. You're going to help me complete this project. This is part of your daily activities until we get it done. So I never thought about the generational wealth or the real estate part of it, honestly, with them.
Yeah.
I was just trying to teach them how to work.
Right. You think, I know that there's this fantasy or owning real estate is, glamorized, like, just bathing in pools of money and things of that nature, right? Obviously, those who own real estate know it's not quite like that.
Exactly.
Even owning 15 houses or even, in our scenario, we own a lot of real estate and it's not like we're just, doing whatever the hell we want to on a daily basis.
Right.
And so what did you have to sacrifice in order to accomplish that?
I think I was just very good with my money.
Yeah.
I was very good with my money.
I know you are. but you sacrificed a lot that maybe others didn't in order to invest in real estate, right? Like you could have bought I don't know, brand new Corvette every year or something instead of, or you could have, I don't know, gone out and
A boat.
Boat? Sure.
No. Looking at my brothers and my dad and seeing what they got into real estate, and I saw that, and so I just, followed what I was seeing growing up.
Yeah.
All of my brothers got into real estate. I mean, not real estate as in their license, but shopping centers, land. And so maybe seeing that maybe kind of sparked something with me, but...
Well, the reason I ask it, and I know that you don't view it this way, because I don't view it this way, and I think we view this the same, where I think about how I'm missing out on some brand new car or something. I don't even want to own a brand new car.
No, I don't either.
But compared to the general population, the general population does want to own brand new cars.
Right.
They do want fancy things. They do want to, spend money versus invest it, right? And so I imagine that y'all did sacrifice a lot of, what could be considered luxuries or maybe what other people had in order to have, these investments.
I agree with you. We didn't take that many trips because we were busy working on the houses when they weren't playing sports. Probably a lot of sacrifice was time, but you know me, I am not that type of person. I'm happy with what I have. I don't have to have the newest or the nicest, Again, what was more important to me was with the kids' college education and for me to have a nest egg so I wouldn't be a burden to my children. So we had everything we needed, maybe not everything we wanted, but we had everything we needed. And that was important for me to show the boys that, in order to accomplish things, you have to work hard, you have to save money. If you want something, you have to, if you want to do it, you're going to have to work hard, and it's going to cost money more than likely, so you have to have the money, right? So it's just really a life lesson, I think. My parents weren't big spenders. They prioritized where they spent their money, and that was the private education that they put 10 kids through.
Right. And even after owning 15 houses, again, back to the, it's not like you're just getting rich all of a sudden, especially if you have mortgages on the properties, property taxes, insurance, repairs,
vacancies,
claims,
evictions,
all the above. It could even add more financial stress to somebody.
Yes.
And at any point anything could go wrong. And so I do think it's important to touch on that, how building this business and building a real estate portfolio isn't always glamorous necessarily.
It's not. Just recently, since we had those tornadoes, several of the houses were hit. So we had a lot of roof damage, some structural damage. That's a big thing. Got to pay for that, right? So that's huge. You got taxes that have gone up. You have people that have moved out. And then there you have a house sitting vacant because you have to do a make ready. Some require more work than others.
Or tenants who live there for 20 years, and those cost a lot.
So you have a vacancy that's sitting there for several months while you're renovating it, and upgrading it and doing the things that need to happen in order for you to get market value for your place, right?
Right.
And what a perfect time to do it. You just don't want it to take longer than 30 days if that could happen. But right now everybody's busy, right? So, it makes it tough. And again, you have the money and we know these up and coming things are going to happen, and you just wait for something to happen that you can put the money, whether it's you have to replace an AC. It's all part of it. At the end of the day, it's not always cookies and cream, but at the end of the day, it does allow you some financial freedom and to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it.
Yeah.
So.
You hate people telling you what to do, huh?
Yes, especially you.
Real estate does provide that opportunity.
It does. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So did it end up paying for their college educations?
Matthews it did.
Sam
ended
Uncle
up going
Sam.
into went into the military.
Did Sam say, "I'll still take the college education"?
You know, now I hopefully doesn't see this because he probably will ask me for the money. But I did give him a house.
Yeah.
So
it did accomplish the goal that you wanted,
Yes.
plus much more.
yes.
What other beautiful things has it provided for you and your family?
You know, I think the biggest thing is knowing that these is, well, as some of them, I don't know if you've mentioned it, but my wife Tiffany turned in our house that you grew up in on Chincoteague into an Airbnb. And that's been amazing. The house is paid off, so we're generating a lot of income. Great neighborhood, great house, a blessing that we have now a hot tub and a pool, which really helps. So that's another way we're generating income. And she totally renovated the house. It looks beautiful. She's a super host, and she's done an amazing job. So not only do we have the rental, we also have the Airbnbs. So that makes it nice too.
Yeah. How many Airbnbs? 2, right? Well, Chincoteague.
Corpus.
Tejas when you're not there.
Tejas when you're not there, yeah. Well, that's not really Airbnb. It's just if people need to use the house.
Well, but y'all were going back and forth.
Back and forth. I stopped that. Moving over to Tejas, having a 1-story with 5 grandsons just makes it so much easier for us.
Yeah. But did the grandchildren have fun on the stairs?
They did have fun on the stairs, but now they don't have to worry about that anymore. And
What-
it's better for my niece.
Yeah.
So
What's your plan with your real estate portfolio now moving forward? Are you looking to grow it, streamline it, simplify it?
We went through the Dave Ramsey, and we paid down 7 homes, paid them off in 1 year, and we have 3 homes left. So our goal is to pay those 3 homes, and all the homes will be paid for.
And then
That's the goal.
live off cash flow.
Correct. We don't live off of any income on the rental.
Right.
We squirrel that away.
What do you reinvest it? Is that the goal?
That's the goal.
Into more real estate?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
What do you want to buy?
I think I would like to do multifamily, like a small apartment complex.
How big?
I'm thinking maybe a 30-door, maybe
30
less
unit?
than that, maybe less.
Okay.
In a smaller town like you guys were talking about in Llano, and maybe turning those into little Airbnbs, renovating them. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see the grandchildren get involved in it
Yeah.
and have them have a piece. Eventually,
Maybe
it
they
will.
learn a skill like plumbing or electrical.
I
or
hope so, Alex. I hope
what?
so.
You said you love that aspect of it. What do you love about it? You like the Airbnb. I feel like you would enjoy really providing the experience for somebody.
Absolutely. Growing up there, you saw how wonderful the place was, and when you read these comments from people about how they're able to spend time with their family, and just how appreciative and how well they treat the house. I mean, it's just amazing that I can bless someone else to have a weekend or a week or 2 weeks. We now have medical families that come in that stay for about a month or a month and a half.
What do you mean by that?
So medical families that come in we have
Someone in
a
the
world-renowned place here called Napa at 183 in Lamar. And so families will come down for a month or 2 or 3 at a time. And having the pool is huge when it comes to obviously Airbnb. That's very important, especially in Texas with these wonderful blistering hot temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
But they can do water therapy. We're able to give them a discount, and I want them to feel like they're at home. They're already going through enough with an unhealthy child who is sick, and I'm so blessed that Matt and Sam are healthy. So I want to be able to give back to them and want them to feel at home, while they're away from their home,
Yeah.
So that's nice when you read those comments that you've made a difference and they've just had the time of their life.
What's your least favorite thing about Airbnb?
I would say probably one time we rented to an NFL football player. And of course, I thought it was a really big deal at the time. But when he moved out and he left, and I came over to look at the house, it was trash, and it was upsetting. And I was told not to go in, but I went ahead and went in anyway. And I guess seeing the lack of disrespect, but I tried to turn a negative into a positive and think that maybe he felt like he didn't care what we charged him. He didn't do the follow-up procedures. So that was really hard for me when I came in the house and saw the yard and the house and the way it looked. And so
Yeah, I remember you were excited.
I was really excited.
To have it.
I wasn't really excited after he left.
Yeah. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
But it comes with it, right?
It does, absolutely. And that's the way you have, and that's why I try to turn it into something
Helping people ain't
positive,
easy.
like, well, maybe he didn't care, and go ahead and charge him whatever he wanted, you know?
Did you?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Tiffany didn't, but I would have, but she may have charged him a small amount, but I didn't. And you know what? It's a lesson learned. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have hiccups, and you're going to have speed bumps. Things happen. You just got to have to learn to deal with it. There's just so many things that can happen, whether it's a rental property or Airbnb.
Yeah.
Stuff happens.
What? Look at this. We made it through the podcast. No tears.
No tears.
All right, we're doing we've been live this whole time, and so we've got a list of questions from our viewers. Kat's going to read them off to us.
Great.
I'm just joking.
Oh.
But I do have a couple last questions for
Okay.
you. Tell us, tell us what you want. It doesn't matter what type of listener this is, whether
Okay.
it's someone looking to invest in real estate, maybe it's a newly single mother raising 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's one of the families coming down for the. What's your advice for people in general? What do you want people to take away from this podcast?
Honestly, I feel like if I did it, anyone can. It's a scary thing, but if you surround yourself with smarter people than what you are, that know the industry, it's an amazing investment opportunity. Again, I had the 401k and all those things, but I reap the most from the benefits from my rental income. And you can do it if you trust the people around you and you just take that leap of faith. I did it, kind of pushed into it, and like I said, it is the best mistake I've ever made. It allowed me at age 50 decide that I didn't want to continue working after 28 years, that I was able to walk away. And what a great feeling that you can walk away, right?
Yeah.
And
with a big security blanket.
I had that, and it takes sacrifice,
Yeah.
and you got to be able to sacrifice, and if you're disciplined, you can do it. Anyone can do it.
What'd you sacrifice? I asked you
Time.
this earlier. Time. What else?
Money.
In terms of what?
Well, I could have spent it on a bigger house, maybe upgraded my car.
Yeah. What else?
Building the nest egg in the checking account. I took that money and took a leap of faith and invested it all in real estate. It was making 2% at the bank, and it was a win-win situation. And basically, a lot of it was time. It really was a lot of time, because in the very beginning, the first few houses, we were doing less than the make-readies.
Right.
So I realized my time wasn't worth value when I could pay somebody to do it and go quicker and faster so that we can get somebody in.
Yeah. But when you're referring to you sacrifice time, you're talking about, I don't know, time at the pool or, I don't know, vacation or
Vacations, nights and weekends. That's what.
watching TV,
Watching TV.
whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you decided to work instead of relax.
Right.
Right. Have any of your friends ever asked you to mentor in terms of real estate investing, or hey, Kim,
You know what? They talk about it, but they have different priorities. And a lot of them are into the mutual funds and stocks and stuff like that. And not a lot of them, my close friends, are into real estate or have any desire to. I think people are scared, you know? It's just,
I think some people just don't care.
no, they don't care.
And most people actually really just don't care
Yeah.
too much.
Or they invest in the stock market and in their mutual funds because they seem like it's, for them, it's safer.
Yeah. So has anybody ever asked you to mentor?
People have talked to me, but I wouldn't say mentor. But I would say they've talked to me about it.
That's odd. They should.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, they know I'm here to help.
Yeah. I mean, this whole story.
Mhm.
Of course.
Look at Justin O'Donnell. Maybe his mom and dad didn't do it, but look at what Justin. You got
Maybe
to see
they,
that. and
or maybe
hanging
they
around.
did, and you just told them to call Matt.
Yeah, that's true. I probably did.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Miss Kim.
You're welcome.
Any last words for everybody here?
You know, I think I was driving over here thinking about this, and you guys always say it, but my main goal was generational wealth. Something to pass on to the boys and now to the grandchildren. And I'm just so blessed I'm going to be able to do that, you know, to be able to pass something on to our grandchildren. How amazing is that, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully
their
they'll
grandchildren.
continue. And hopefully they will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sam and Matt have really learned a lot from you. I don't want to speak for them, but they're both very into investing.
That's true.
They both are not into the fancy things, right?
Right.
Sam's very frugal, but and Matt is too in his own way.
Right.
Right. Matt, is not concerned with flashy, fancy things.
Right.
They both, they obviously learned that from you, right? Because
I think so.
the entire world is the opposite,
Right.
and so you've done an amazing job.
Well, hopefully they've remained humble, and that's the biggest thing, is to remain humble. These are all blessings, right?
Mm-hmm.
At any given point, we could lose everything, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Start all over again.
Right.
I'm not afraid. Are you?
No. It's
Exactly.
fun.
It is fun. It is fun. There's some challenges, but it's fun.
It's a new fight.
But I just think it's so cool, just the generational wealth, and I'd love to pass on the legacy to the grandkids. Honestly,
Well, I think you are.
I hope so.
And I mean, if they learned anything from their parents, then it'll continue on for forever.
You're right. You're right.
Well, we love you, Miss Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you for having us on the show.
You're welcome.
Us or me?
You.
Thank you.
You're welcome.